There's something timeless about a show that doesn't just depict law enforcement, it captures the legacy behind the badge. Blue Bloods was never just another procedural. It gave us a family whose roots ran deep through the streets of New York, where justice wasn't just a job, it was a birthright. Across generations, through every courtroom debate and neighborhood patrol, the Reagans carried more than a name, they carried the weight of tradition. This wasn't about solving a case by the end of each episode, it was about navigating the gray areas of justice, loyalty, and morality, all while staying true to the people you break bread with every Sunday. Through its 14 seasons, Blue Bloods gave us a front row seat to a world where family and duty constantly intersected, and where every choice came with a cost. As this long-standing chapter comes to a close, we're not just looking back on the stories told, we're honoring the values that kept the Reagan legacy alive. And maybe, just maybe, looking ahead to what the next chapter might bring. So if you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button and check out my other videos after this one. And follow my new Substack in the link below for more personal reviews on the TV shows that I watch. And now without further ado, let's explore Blue Bloods. Chapter 1. A multi-generational perspective. Perspective is endless. It is something that can be seen through the eyes of not just wise older adults, whom the younger generation seeks advice from, but also through the opinions of many across different generations and cultures. This collective insight makes up a perspective that we can not only appreciate, but also cherish. The introduction of Blue Bloods brings viewers into a 4-generational bloodline, the Reagan family, each member offering unique perspectives on various topics. Their conversations are not only meaningful to them, but compelling for the audiences to witness. From the oldest generation who's once held the position of police commissioner, to his son who now carries that mantle, to his children, each of whom follows the family path in the legal system, and now their children, every member plays a role in the hierarchies of opinion. They may differ in their views, but that diversity is what makes the discussion so engaging. The show's strong representation of family through bloods resonates with the viewers. From time spent together during Sunday dinners to the everyday catch-ups, these shared moments are what gives weight to their perspective. While the actions and dramas of the justice system forms a key part of the narrative and are certainly entertaining, what truly stands out are the family conversations. Whether it's about the case of a week or a more personal issue, these discussions are central to the show's identity. Every Sunday at the dinner table, they talk, they listen, they respect one another's opinion, even in disagreement. And yes, things can get rowdy, but that's the beauty of having 4 generations in one room. Each has grown up in a different era, offering a sense of representation across time. This is why Blue Bloods isn't just a police drama. It's a family show, one that also belongs to a different subset of genres, where family values, generational differences, and shared tradition take center stage. Chapter 2. Balancing Justice and Loyalty. The blue wall, as people might call it, represents how the police department will defend any cop, no matter how wrong the public might perceive them to be. This is the thin line that defines what it means to be a cop. Often treated like a massive organized crime group, the only reason the institution still functions is because it is seen as being on the side of the law. This is the misconception many have when it comes to the police and the actions they may or may not take. Blue Bloods is a powder keg of questions centered around that thin line that the police must navigate. It's not just about whether the viewers can be entertained by a narrative that follows the police as many procedurals do. The series evolves into a platform that sparks deeper conversations about the antagonization of the police and challenges us to examine whether we can see through our own biases to find some form of common ground. Some episodes forces us to consider cases from both perspectives. We're asked whether the officers took appropriate measures and followed the law. Even when they do, it's often the outrage surrounding their actions and the actions of those defending them that opens up a wide spectrum of public opinion. It's not always about police officers being defended, it's about questioning whether they were right in the first place. The conversation that emerges from both sides of the aisle highlights the difficulty in finding common ground. The narrative becomes less about cops and justice and more about something deeper, something we often think about subconsciously but struggle to articulate until we see it play out, whether in real life or fiction. These stories strike a chord because they compel us to reflect on the cost borne by police officers, individuals trying to balance justice without becoming beholden to the notion of the blue wall. Chapter 3. Navigating Gray Areas of Law Enforcement. There is a state of irony regarding the popularity of police procedurals and the negative light in which police officers have been represented in recent years. Despite widespread criticism of law enforcement in real life, countless police procedurals continues to thrive on both network and streaming platforms, each with its own loyal fanbase. This creates an interesting conundrum. While public perception of the police may be fraught with distrust or criticism, the stories these shows tell remain beloved. This tension becomes particularly compelling for a series like Blue Bloods to navigate. Unlike many police procedurals that thrives on sensational cases to keep viewers engaged, Blue Bloods takes a more introspective route. It delves into the raw, complex reality of what it means to serve the criminal justice system, offering a layered narrative beyond the standard case of the week formula. Over its 14 seasons, Blue Bloods has evolved significantly. In its earlier years, the symbolism of the badge and the role of the police officers were more widely accepted. As public opinion shifted, the series began to reflect that change. The show now faces the challenges of adapting its narrative to match a climate that is constantly evolving and increasingly scrutinizing law enforcement. What sets Blue Bloods apart is its various focus within law enforcement. It doesn't just tell a story about a lone detective solving cases, it offers a more introspective perspective. Yes, there's a detective, but the narrative expands far beyond that. The show provides a multi-viewpoint lens on all facets of the justice system, not just from the perspective of the police, but also from the district attorneys and their officers. It tackles the political elements that many series may shy away from, grounding its events into real-world relevance. From perspectives of characters who are not always in the spotlight, the weight of that changing climate is still deeply felt. What were once seen as acceptable gray areas in law enforcement are now viewed as extreme, placing officers under intense pressure. With the constant reality that everything is publicized through social media and the growing progressive movement from the public, politician, and even within the justice system, the show examines the fine line between finding justice and managing public perception. Many episodes serve as a case study for real-life issues, exploring how fictional narratives reflect and respond to societal shifts. As public outrage grows, Blue Bloods poses the question many officers may be quietly asking themselves. What if you were in the victim's shoes? How would you feel if those who once protected you were now being villainized for doing their jobs? Most importantly, what will happen if police officers stop helping the public altogether? Will society descend into chaos? Will the very demand for justice without understanding lead to its own undoing? Chapter 4: The Personal Cost of Justice. For the Reagans, justice is personal, and the price they pay isn't always found in a courtroom. For officers of the law like them, it's the burden of what comes after all the investigation and the sacrifices you make to finally reach that finishing point you hoped would come. But that dedication towards seeking justice often comes with personal costs. The hours spent on each case while more continues to pile up can be overwhelming. The missing moments with loved ones, the emotional toll of carrying the weight of each decision, it all becomes exhausting when you reflect on what justice demands. It's that balance in the scale that matters the most. Blue Bloods highlights just how much effort not only officers in blue, but also the DA office puts into closing a case and bring justice to the victims. Each of the Reagan siblings makes personal sacrifices to pursue the justice they believe in. Each has their own moral philosophy, and that's reflected in the cases they handle, and the arguments they have with each other over perceiving miscarriage of justice. It's not just about seeking outcomes through legal justice, it becomes a constant juggling act with each case viewed from a different moral and legal perspective. Some cases that Danny or Jamie brings to the DA's office often sparks debate, as their definition of justice don't always align with the law. Erin herself constantly grapples with the moral dilemmas depending on the nuances of the cases she or her team is prosecuting. Their personal view on justice becomes a constant, unshakable voice, one that lingers even when the law falls short. It's that persistent inner call that drives their sacrifice, making their personal cost feel inevitable, yet somehow necessary. In the end, it's that small, deeply personal cost, missing family time, and relying on the understanding of loved ones, that becomes the true sacrifice. It's the price they pay to uphold the values they believe represents justice. Chapter 5: From the Dinner Table to the Streets. Blue Bloods has always been defined by two sides of the coin that makes each other whole. On one side, there are the legal, judicial, and political elements that fuels much of its drama. But the other side, arguably more essential, is the emotional and familial core that underpins everything. It's about the legacy of family, the story of how one Irish family, the Reagans, carries the weight of being distinguished figures in law enforcement, and how that legacy unfolds across generations. As compelling as regular police procedures can be, the truth is, that kind of story has been told thousands of times. That niche, while satisfying to a degree, is never enough to sustain lasting impact. What sets Blue Bloods apart is the other element, the other side of the coin, family. For the Reagans, it's not just about their duty to the badge or the law. It's about the unwavering duty to each other. That familial devotion is what makes the series stand out. We don't just see one perspective from inside the justice system, we see an entire household of legal officers, each at a different point in the chain. From a newly minted beat cop to an assistant district attorney, to a seasoned detective, and even a police commissioner, every facet is represented from the beginning of the series. Their stories may branch in different directions through an episode or even the series, but they always remain interconnected. They're family first, and that means showing up, offering advice, sharing laughs, and sometimes giving each other the hard times. The heart of their connection is captured in their Sunday dinner, a sacred tradition never missed by a Reagan. No matter how packed their schedules are or how far apart they are during the day, they all make the effort to come together, even if it's only for a moment. Everyone participates, cooking, eating, talking, and yes, even doing the dishes. It's a ritual that grounds them, a moment of togetherness that reinforces their bond. Ultimately, it's not the cases that matters the most in Blue Bloods. It's the meaning of family, the weight of their name, and the legacy they continue to build together. Chapter 6: The Ending. The legacy that the Reagans have brought to the city of New York is undeniable. For them, serving the city isn't just a duty, it's an obligation deeply tied to their Irish roots. They've made it their mission to protect New York from every kind of threat, always standing guard with unwavering dedication. And yet, even as the series has come to an end, that doesn't mean the Reagans are finished fighting crime. It simply marks the close of a chapter in the story of New York's most recognizable criminal justice family. What the next chapter holds remains unknown, but one thing is certain: change is constant. The Sunday dinner table reflects that change. As the youngest generation grows up, some goes off to college, others pursue callings beyond New York, yet all follow the legacy of service instilled by their parents, grandparents, and their great-grandparents. Some family members return occasionally, knowing they'll always be welcomed, and when they do, they find that while things evolve, the spirit remains the same. Those who have settled close continues to gather every Sunday, talking, laughing, and sharing the moments that never grows old. That tradition, simple yet profound, is what putting family first truly means. It's not about being together every day, but about making the moments you do have count. To have a close family is a rare gift. It becomes a kind of home, more powerful than any place, family itself. That bond, the unwavering support, is what makes New York safe. Each Reagan sibling does their part, whether by prosecuting the criminals that threatens the city or by catching those who haunt it. They face these challenges not just professionally, but personally, because for them, it always comes back to family first. And maybe that's what makes them great cops and lawyers. It's the unbreakable bond rooted in tradition, yet always evolving, that defines not just Reagan, but the very soul of Blue Bloods. And while this chapter may be closed, a new one is about to begin, as Danny Reagan returns to the screen this fall, not in New York, but in a new city, Boston. With Boston Blue on the horizon, who knows what new legacy he'll build there. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon in the next review episode.